Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Boku no Hero Academia Season 3 Episode 9. This one was actually called All for One. So, this episode, my review's a few days late, so sorry about that, but let's talk about this thing. It was really, really great. I don't know if I want to say that this was the best episode, one of the best episodes in the series, because I can probably easily name at least 5 that I think were better episodes, but I think this had some of the best scenes in the series. It was one of those things where there were a few really, really great scenes, but there were also some other scenes where I was like, I don't really care about this as much. It was all important, and it was all good and well done, but there were just certain things that I thought, this episode, instead of being high point, high point, high point, there were some high points and some low points as well. It's just natural, nothing wrong with it. It's just that it kind of keeps it from being one of the best episodes. That and some episodes like, say, My Hero or Todoroki Shoto Origin or Climax, they all have these threads that go throughout the story, and the entire episode, even if they jump around to different stuff, they tell one basic story. And this one did that kind of, but I think some of the things were so far removed from each other, like the press conference and the stuff that the kids were doing and the stuff that the heroes were doing, even though they all played into the same story, maybe they were so separate that it didn't really feel like it was as unified as some episodes in the past. But right now I'm kind of reaching for reasons that I don't think it's like super perfect, even though it's next to perfect. It's really, really good. And some of the scenes, like I said, probably some of the best scenes in the series. But let's go ahead and start from the beginning. We had the press conference with Aizawa. It's just kind of whatever. They're grilling him on, a student got kidnapped. That's kind of a bad thing. What if they try to turn him into a villain? And Aizawa's retorting, like keeping his calm under media pressure, but saying, if they kidnapped him thinking they could turn him into a villain, they don't know him very well. Then I love transitioning from that over to Bakugo and the Villain Alliance, it playing while they're in that room. I like that Bakugo was thinking to himself about, I need to try to do this, I can probably do this. One of the things he's thinking is, if they're trying to use me as a pawn or something, then they're obviously not going to go at me and seriously try to kill me, at least not right away. So before they go at me and seriously try to kill me, I could probably use that bit of hesitation and time to take down 2 or 3 and try to find a way to escape. So again, smart moves on Bakugo's part. I like him thinking things through, but then having this loud, brash, yelling personality on the outside that's kind of covering it up and distracting them. So maybe making him seem even smarter in a way. I like that. Well, I just remembered too, I brought it up last review where Shigaraki turns the TV off. At least I think I brought it up last week. So now the TV was randomly back on. So, Bones, you give us a lot of good stuff. You screwed the one thing. You screwed up, Bones. We caught you. Shigaraki turned the TV off last episode. Now it was magically back on this episode. You made a mistake. But yeah, that's just a joke. That's not actually a serious thing. I don't think anybody actually cares. But yeah, it's kind of weird. I've never seen them actually mess up in this show. Actually, I think they did once earlier this season that somebody else caught, but I didn't. That when they were all together, there was one panel when they were all together at that meeting and they were going off to do the trial of test of courage, whatever. And Ragdoll was there with them, even though at the time she was at the midway point, but they accidentally animated her with the rest of them for like one shot. So yeah, this is maybe the second mess up this season. But again, not like it actually matters. Then I like the growth for Shigaraki as a character. He's kind of like a secondary main character in a lot of ways, where this is the story of how Izuku becomes the top hero. It's kind of also the story of Shigaraki, who started out like not really a good villain or a villain at all, becoming, top villain. His growth as a villain, just like Izuku's growth as a hero. So I like that we got to see a lot of that here, where he was calm, where at the beginning of the series he would have just flipped out because things weren't going his way, or he would have just given up. Right now he's like, you know what? Nobody attack him. He's a pawn. We need to think this through. We need to use him some way. So I like that. And I've read the manga, obviously. I'm not bringing up manga spoilers, but when he picks up that hand, I've always thought, he's just picking it up all dainty and like evil villain, I don't know, like evil villain, flamboyant kind of manner. But I just now realized, making me feel really stupid, of course he has to pick it up all weird like that, because if he touches something with all 5 fingers, it's going to crumble into dust, which makes me think that his quirk is, it has to be a pain in the ass, like living your life where if you touch anything with all 5 fingers, it just crumbles into dust. And you would think, too, that him discovering his quirk, he had to have been touching something and crumble something to dust that was possibly his parents. Maybe that's why he freaks out about his father or something. I don't know. But, yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's probably nothing new. Probably a ton of people have said the exact same thing. But I would think that maybe he crumbled his father to dust, possibly. Yeah. All for One's voice, when he, just throwing it in here, his voice is so great when Shigaraki throws it over to him. Sensei, I need your power. And that's a good decision, Shigaraki Tomura. And, man, his voice is so cool. Just throughout the episode, it's so good. The student group then makes it to the Nomu hangar. I love the distinction they make with Izuku's character through Ida, where Ida says, when you get like this, you're unstoppable. You can't stop. I love that they worded it like that, where he's wording it like, not only can you not be stopped, you're unstoppable, that's a good thing, but you can't stop. Izuku can't stop himself when he's like this. Like with saving Bakugo from the sludge monster guy, he can't stop himself. His body moves on its own. So I really love that distinction was put in there, and it's really poetic, the whole you're unstoppable, you can't stop. I thought that was really, really good. The heroes have then all met up. They are in 2 groups to attack both the hangar and the bar that they hang out in. Best Jeanist says that he knows Bakugo well enough to know that he's going to hold on and probably attack. So they're going to have to get in there before something bad happens, but they also don't really have to worry about Bakugo turning to them right away either. So I like that, Best Jeanist getting to say that he knows a bit about Bakugo since they spent a little bit of time together. The OST coming up when they're like, we're attacking on the same day. This whole thing was a setup. The press conference was to make them think that we weren't ready, but we were ready all along. I like that. The OST is amazing. Tsukauchi's voice acting for it's amazing. So good. And then we have our commercial break. Come back. There's still people on the street, so the student group has to go around back. They climb up on each other's shoulders, look through the window, and see the Nomu Collective there in the hangar. Also, when they bring up that Kirishima bought that stuff himself because he thought that he'd need it, good character stuff for him. Also, what did he say? It was like, Izuku said it was like 50,000 yen. I think that's like $450-ish, somewhere around there. So, if you were wondering, that's about what price they were talking about. Then it's so perfect. This scene I was waiting for so much, where they have the knock on the door, Pizza La, come in a branch, and then like, I love the awkward silence where they all turn, they're like, what the hell? And then All Might comes busting through the side of the wall. And it's so genius too that I laugh a lot too, thinking that it's Ed Shot outside the door saying that he's from Pizza La. That's great. But I love that it's really smart, because they're criminals. They're going to be on edge. They just hear a knock at the door. They're all going to focus attention towards the door, and then you can just bust in through the side of the wall. It's so genius. I love it. It was a perfect. It was such a perfect scene. Another thing I was kind of about is, I don't know how it was actually supposed to be translated or anything, but I felt like the joke the comedy bit from Endeavor. It's not really much of a comedy bit, but where he says, "Why am I stuck outside and that American's in there?" I was like, now a bunch of people are gonna actually think All Might's American, despite him being in Japan and being named Toshinori Yagi, for God's sake. But it seems like a lot of people picked up that was just him making fun of All Might's design and all that. But I thought it was funnier the way that I saw it translated in the manga, where he's like, "Why does Stars and Stripes get to charge in there, but I'm stuck out here?" And I think that makes it more obvious that he's not actually American. I was just scared that too many fans would take that literally. Then I love once All Might saves him, Bakugo's face. At first he looks like he's about to cry, but what I love is his face where his eyes are like out to the side and she's yelling, "No, I was fine. I wasn't scared at all." The just the like chicken face he has. I thought it was great. And I like that we actually get to hear Shigaraki's thought process. We get to see him thinking a bit. And I like when we get to see that for villains and go into their thought process, especially a villain like Shigaraki, where he is kind of like the foil for Izuku. Then Mount Lady smashes the hangar, Ragdoll is reclaimed, and I love when All Might goes into his symbol of peace mode and he's giving his speech and all that, that they use Spinner and the effect on him to show how All Might's charisma is like Stain's. It was brought up before by Gran Torino. That Stain's charisma was similar to All Might's as the symbol of peace. So I like that they used Spinner to show that, to show All Might's charisma and the way that it affects villains looking at him. Magne freaking killed me when Edshot, and it looked really, really cool. Edshot looked awesome when he stabbed through Kurogiri and made him go to sleep, and Magne just starts freaking out like, "Oh my god, did you kill him? Stop, don't do this." Like, I was dying. Magne killed me. Magne was great. Honestly, I've come to like Magne a lot in the anime. I liked Magne in the manga, but the anime is making me like Magne even more. Also, I love the choice for Edshot's voice actor. His voice is really cool. It wasn't really what I was expecting, and I think that's in a good way. I think it's a lot better than I was expecting. So, yeah, I really like Edshot's voice. Then Gran Torino reveals they have all their real names, and of course, there's the whole thing adding into everyone's theory that Dabi is one of Endeavor's kids, one of the Todorokis. More evidence here. He was knocked out, and his name was the only one, I believe, that wasn't said. His real name as they know it. So we don't get his name said out loud by Gran Torino. And also, just conveniently, Endeavor is the one outside, not in there to see what's going on. And of course, that's well explained too, where Endeavor's outside because he has the widest range. If like maybe Kamui Woods wasn't able to grab like 2 or 3 of them and they booked it out of the side of that wall that was busted open, Endeavor would have the best range to go after him and try to take him down. So that totally makes sense. But I was just saying, an interesting coincidence that he just happens to be outside where he can't see Dabi. So again, it's one of those things where I usually don't like these kind of fan theories because I feel like people get too caught up in these theories that they forget what's actually going on in the series. But I think this one is like so strongly hinted at that I feel like most people, including myself, would honestly be surprised if he isn't a Todoroki at this point. Because we haven't seen either of Shoto's older 2 brothers. Because in that flashback, we saw a sister and 2 brothers, and the sister's Fuyumi. We've seen her, and I think we're going to see her more. So, of course, we've seen Fuyumi. And then we haven't seen either of the 2 brothers, but we know he has 2 brothers. So I wonder what they do, like where they are. Is one of those 2 Dabi? Either way. But I thought the 2 brothers had mostly white hair, though. Either way, who knows. I mean, he dyed his hair either way, but I'm thinking the mostly white hair would mean shouldn't he be more ice-like than fire-like? But whatever. Let's see. What else am I missing here? So they have the real names, all that. Then we have a flashback to the child Shimura Tenko, who is Shigaraki Tomura, and that's going to be part of a bigger reveal probably next episode, so I'm not going to talk anymore about the past flashback, other than one thing I think is cool is that we have a when we see him in that flashback, he's bleeding with a cut across his lips and a cut below his eye, and we see he has those scars when he talks to Izuku last season in the finale. So I like that we have kind of not really an explanation of where those scars came from, but we actually see him with the damage that led to those scars. And I'm curious as to what happened, how he got like that. My guess would... Actually, I don't have a good guess, because I'm like, if he did blow his family into smithereens with his quirk, just turn him into dust or whatever, why would he be left on the screen, like, left on the street? I mean, it makes sense that he was left on the street, but you'd figure, I don't know, how'd he get those wounds then, if that's the case? It's very weird, or maybe the wounds are just from his skin cracking where his quirk makes his skin so dry. Who knows? Because I think that's, like, to me that's obvious. Like, I've always assumed that all the wrinkles and stuff were because his skin, or his quirk makes his skin dry. That's just always been my assumption. But also, I liked what, in that flashback, what All For One was... I always get him confused. All For One was saying. I like that he was like... It's kind of hard to catch on, like, your first time reading or your first time watching through and reading the subs, but he was, like, saying that people would always say, oh, a hero will handle it, a hero will take care of it, and just walk past Shigaraki on the streets. And he's like, but no hero ever came, did they? People just assumed a hero would, but they never did. But we don't really get anything deeper than that. But again, I like that, so we can kind of assume from that Shigaraki doesn't like heroes, and All Might is the symbol of peace, the symbol of the heroes, because he was there, he was suffering, and no hero ever came. Everyone assumed they did, but nobody ever helped. And it kind of leads more into what he was talking to Izuku about way back in Season 2 at the finale, where he was telling Izuku, look at all these people. They could easily use their quirks, but none of them do. And talking about just what hero society is it just, and all that, and him wanting to tear down society and all that. So I loved that. I love Bakugo, like, the Nomus come in with the I hate you line. I love the effects that were used for the black sludge. It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was really cool. Bakugo gets taken. All Might's no is obviously going to be used for a million memes, and it's really cool. So yeah, one shot in particular where all the officers are shooting the Nomus and they're just creepily crawling out of the black sludge. I think that was such a cool shot. And it makes things seem so much darker and scarier. All of it was great. And this episode is really, I guess, that big turning point, into darker, scarier storytelling, I guess. I also liked that when we cut back over to Genist and them, Mount Lady is saying, this was kind of easy. Shouldn't we be over with All Might or something? And Best Genist says, don't associate difficulty with importance. Because I think that's a really good line to throw out, because just because your part in a plan is really easy to do doesn't mean it's not important to the plan overall. And just because something's difficult to do doesn't mean it's actually important. So I loved that. And then All For One's entrance, perfect horror. The OST is great. The silence they used for a lot of it was great. And he is just creepy as hell. Genist was also a badass. I love the animation they used for him gripping All For One there. But All For One demolishes a chunk of the city, like, instantly. And it's a really dark turn. It gives the students hallucinations of their death. It's so good. Now, like, one thing about it is they didn't even see what happened. They don't know what happened. They were facing the other way. That was like a big part of the point of what they said, was where they were like, what happened was in less than a second. We didn't see any of it. Our backs were turned, and then all of a sudden this chunk of city that was behind us isn't behind us a second later. So who knows how many people died in that. Like, buildings are all tossed to the side and stuff. He just flattened a chunk of the place. It was so good. And again, just the floating is so creepy, where he's just floating in the sky with his head kind of down. So creepy, so good. So yeah, only thing I think could have been better is I remember one of the manga translations, I don't think it was the official one, translated what he said at that last line there as, "Now then, shall I deal some death?" which I thought was such a good line. And, "Well then, shall we do it?" is kind of a weaker line, a less scary line. But either way, my first time watching the episode, my heart was pounding so much. I loved it. It really, it made me feel a lot. Like I said, it had some of the best scenes in the series, probably. Just that finale scene, the busting into the bar scene was really good. The one where the heroes are counterattacking and Tsukauchi's giving that speech in the OST is really good. They had some really, really good scenes. But then I feel like the scenes with the students and the one at the beginning, though they were important, though they were still good, they were kind of weaker. And I was always like, when I went back and rewatched a couple times, I was just like, okay, let's get through these scenes so we can get to the good ones. So there were some definite down points. Then everything. OST was incredible for most of the episode. The only thing I would complain about OST-wise, and this just, I'm not going to take away from the episode because I feel like it's just a me thing. I've never really liked All Might's theme that much, the really cheesy hero music, and I felt like it played a little bit too long into some of the stuff that Shigaraki was saying that I felt like needed a darker OST. But I've seen a lot of people really, really like that OST, so maybe it's just me personally. My brain associates it with cheesiness and like just that sort of sound, that vibe I get from it. So I think maybe it's just me. That's why I wouldn't take away from it. Maybe I'm just not that into it, or my brain associates it the wrong way. But yeah, so that's not that big a deal. That's just one thing that I would be like, if I could change something, I would change that. Also, the voice acting was great, especially All For One and Edgeshot. I really, really like both of their voices. So I'm going to give this a near perfect score, but not quite perfect. I'll give it 9.75 pizza deliveries out of 10. I loved it. Review ended up being really long again because there's so much content in every episode, and I'm excited for the next 2 episodes a lot. I'm excited for the whole rest of the season, but the next 2 episodes in particular, are probably gonna hurt a lot. Especially, I feel like the one after next is probably when I am going to be most affected by a lot of the stuff this arc. But next episode's going to be damn good too. So yeah, either way, I'm excited for this. Depending on how much they stuff into one episode though, because it seems like their pacing is really, really fast. I'm pretty sure they covered, again, not going to get into manga spoilers or anything, but I think they covered 3 chapters worth of manga just in this one episode. So they're kind of moving at a pretty blistering pace right now. So I could even be wrong with what I was saying before, depending on how fast they adapt some of this, how quick their pacing is. But yeah, either way, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like if you did like it. Comment down there to tell me what you thought of my thoughts on this, what you thought of my thoughts on this episode, what your thoughts were. Subscribe for more. Boku no Hero Academia, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff with the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us there, then just ask and I'll give you a link. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.